How do you get your teenager to think before he acts? Well, we're going to talk about that today on Tips on Teens. My name is Kent Toussaint. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I specialize in helping kids, teens, and families live happier lives. I lead two organizations, Teen Therapy Center and the nonprofit 501c3 organization, Child and Teen Counseling, both here in Woodland Hills, California. And every Wednesday at noon, I jump onto Facebook Live to answer your parenting questions. Let's jump into today's. Kent, my son is driving us insane. I would say he has poor judgment, but lately it feels like he has no judgment. He's 13, and I think he was more mature when he was 6. Over the past 6 months or so, he's developed a pattern of doing increasingly dumber and more destructive things. This has happened at home, but recently it happened at a friend's house when he broke their pool filter. Obviously, we were thoroughly embarrassed and angry. I can't imagine giving this kid the keys to a car in a few years. What can we do to get him to think before he acts? Thank you for your question. I think a lot of parents of teenagers can really resonate with this, especially the teenagers who have attention issues, or maybe with kids who are on the autism spectrum, where their impulsiveness is really through the roof. I think that this makes a lot of sense to them. Let's first talk about the teenage brain, the adolescent brain. So what we know in science is that around 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that range, the prefrontal cortex, which is an area right here behind the forehead, starts developing wildly over the next 10 years or so. And this controls what we call the executive functioning area of the brain. Things like impulse control, emotional regulation, the ability to see cause and effect. All those parts of the brain are seriously impaired right now because it's not all connected to the rest of the brain, and it's developing. That's why you may think that your 6-year-old was more mature then than now at 13, because they weren't having this crazy explosion of growth in their brain. So what happens is it does start slowing down around 18 or so, and then you feel like you have a fully developed brain, or science determines a fully developed brain is around roughly 25 years old. So what do you do from that 13 to 17 range when your kid's bouncing off the walls, jumping on pool filters? I don't know how you break a pool filter, but I guess you jump on it. I don't know. So I think there's a lot of things with this. Number one is make sure that you are maintaining quality connection with your kid. You are spending quality time with your kid, because if you have that, he's more likely to listen to you, pay attention to you, consider what you're saying, consider your words, and take your guidance. If you don't have that quality connection, if you're always wagging the finger, if you're always giving him instruction or correcting him, he's not going to really feel connected to you, and he's not going to care what you say. Secondly, there may need to be some natural consequences for these actions. And you tie them to the pool filter. I don't know how much it costs to fix a pool filter, but perhaps your son is now on the hook for paying for the repairs, or at least some of the repairs. You know, if it's $5,000, you can't expect a 13-year-old to come up with $5,000. It's not realistic. So whatever amount you think is a realistic, hey, you gotta work this off. Washing cars, taking trash cans in for the neighbors, collecting bottles and cans for recycling, whatever it is, anything that's extra that he has to go out and earn to pay that off little by little. And for leverage, you're probably going to need to have something that he wants, like his PlayStation or Xbox. Maybe he has much more limited access to his phone. Maybe he needs his phone for school. I don't know if he does or not. But electronics seems to be the big motivator for most kids. And a lot of kids are on screens way too much, especially like with TikTok and these TikTok challenges. I don't know if this is the case, but was your son responding to a TikTok challenge to break something, which happens all the time? And if you don't know what's on TikTok, you should be watching your kid's TikTok, because if you don't, that's a profound influence on your kid that you're not aware of, and you should be aware of that. So let's say, I'm going to throw out a ballpark number. Let's say it's $200 he's got to come up with. And say, all right, I'm going to hold on to the PlayStation until you come up with the $200 and pay this off. And he's going to kick and scream and cry, but that's a natural consequence to his actions. If I do this, this bad thing happens. That's part of learning. And the whole thing about decision making, and there's been many people who've said this before me, is kids don't learn how to make decisions by receiving instruction. They learn to make decisions, good decisions, by making decisions. So they have to make decisions to learn how to make good ones, which means there's going to be quite a few bad decisions in there, but they have to learn from those bad decisions, learn from the consequences of those actions that are reasonable, natural consequences that fit the situation, and they start learning from it, just like we all have. For example, if you don't have any kind of leverage with him, trying to get him to work off this $200 debt, he's never going to do it because there's no need for him. Just like if you had more money than you can ever spend in the bank, how important would it be to go to work every day? Not so much. Maybe you love your job, what you do, but would you do it 40, 50, 60 hours a week? Probably not. You'd have more time, spend more time with the family, do more of your hobbies, travel more. You'd get around to work when you had to, when you wanted to, because it's a want-to thing. He's likely not going to want to earn the money, so you have to have some incentive for him to earn it. He may make mistakes like this several times over his adolescence, and stay calm. The more you yell, the more he's going to shut you out. So just stay calm. Use the leverage of screens to have him pay back what he has to pay back, and eventually he's going to learn, oh, this is not working. I got to think something. I got to do it better. Hopefully by 16, he's more mature. And, by 18, even more mature when he goes off to college. But we'll cross those bridges when we get there. Right now, he's 13. So let's just deal with a 13-year-old problem and let 16 deal with 16. Anyways, that's our question for today. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Kent Toussaint. If you like a question you like answered here on Tips on Teens, please email us at tipsonteens@teentherapycenter.com, or you can direct message us right here on Facebook. We love your questions. Thank you very much. And thank you again from Teen Therapy Center and Challenging Counseling. This has been Tips on Teens, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.